What do Canada and Sweden have in common? Well, they won't be playing each other in the World Cup. That's a bit of a bummer. But Canada and Sweden are cooperating when it comes to technology. Specifically, Kanata is home to a Swedish-based global design house. Think R&D, think tech prototypes, think small-scale manufacturing. This company in Kanata has been growing and acquiring. Find out more in this episode of Techopia Live. Hey everyone, I'm Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. Thank you for being here today and welcome to another episode of Techopia Live. This is a regular podcast from OBJ that features executives from next generation technology companies. We want to shine a spotlight on the up and comers. We also want to keep you updated on the established players and the important companies that make Ottawa's technology ecosystem work, all with a goal of keeping the tech sector informed and connected. In today's episode, we explore a global Swedish-based design house. This is a company that has a big presence in the Kanata Research Park and other parts of the West End, as you'll hear for in just a second. And its customer list and employee count is growing. So it's certainly a growth story. Our guest today has held engineering and management positions in Kanata North tech scene for 20 plus years, including companies such as MOSAID, BlackBerry. Before joining this company, he is the Senior Vice President at Syntronic. Here is Darrell Wellington. Welcome, Darrell.
Thanks a lot, Michael. Great to be here.
I'm excited to have this chat with you, Darrell. We bump into each other on a fairly regular basis, but we never get a full business chat. So that's what we're doing here today. And as we kick things off, I'm in a studio situation, but you really are showing the goods here, Darrell, because you are actually on, I think, a production floor. Tell me where you are at and what people are doing.
Yeah, that's great. So there's a lot of activity here in the background. I'm in my, I'm in my ESD smock on our production floor of our brand new Syntronic production services. So we recently acquired a company called Lloyd Douglas Solutions in Stittsville. And now they've been up and running, but now it's part of Syntronic family.
And tell me a little bit about the type of work that's being doing. So forgive my ignorance here. I don't know what those machines are in the background, but just at a high level, what type of manufacturing or design would be happening behind you?
Yeah, so at Syntronic, we're focused on electronics, electromechanics. So the equipment that you see behind me, I guess it's on this side, is a surface mount. So it's pick and place machines. It puts components on a bare PCB. I could have had a bare PCB, and puts them through an oven to liquefy the metal solder, and then it's all sorts of assembly and test to get those products out.
That is so cool. That is so cool. It's like a show and tell episode here on Techopia Live. Before we dive into, and we're going to spend our time, of course, Darrell, talking about Syntronic, but I want to make sure our audience gets to know you a little bit. As indicated, you've been working in the Kanata area for 20 plus years. You work for great companies, MOSAID and BlackBerry. Tell me a little bit about yourself before we talk about your company.
Sure. So I am an electrical engineer by training. I was lured to Ottawa after university over 20 years ago from Southern Ontario, after taking a fantastic co-op job in Ottawa. So it's a kind of a good reference for the Ottawa area, and I've been here ever since. I loved it from that co-op job. I've worked in hardware development, software development. I've done FPGA, I've done ASIC verification, I've done test system development. I've even programmed in Ada. I've worked, like I said, mostly Canadian tech success stories or giants in MOSAID technology. So it's been a little while for that one. CMC Electronics, BlackBerry, And then after BlackBerry, I was chosen as the first Canadian employee of a Swedish company setting up shop in Ottawa, doing R&D development right up my alley from a technical point of view, and just we're kind of an Invest Ottawa success story in that sense. So today, 8.5 years later from when I started, I'm running the Canadian operations of Syntronic Research and Development. So actually, the production site that you see behind me is not technically in my team.
We'll pretend it is for today.
Sure.
That's that's what they do in TV. It's make believe land, but it is an acquisition. It's an example of some of the growth that Syntronic, I think, is experiencing in Ottawa. Is that the case, Darrell?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So manufacturing is something that Syntronic has been doing in Sweden for many years. So Syntronic's been around since 1983. Here in Ottawa, we were doing more and more working with suppliers, including Lloyd Douglas, the company that we purchased, and it just made a lot of sense for us to fuel the growth and really become that one-stop shop for our customers.
And as I was doing a little bit of research on Syntronic, of course, I've heard about you guys for years, but maybe I didn't appreciate the full global breadth of the company. One stat that kind of astounded me: you employ 1,700 engineers globally. Is that right? That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's probably even higher than that, but yeah.
And tell me, when did Syntronic come to Ottawa? So when did they first appear in the Ottawa scene? And then I've got all sorts of other questions to ask.
Yeah. So Syntronic started looking at Ottawa in 2013. They incorporated the business in March of 2014, I think. I was hired I started in August of 2014. We actually had you to our R&D factory. I think it was 3 years ago with our president Hans from Sweden.
That's right.
And and we had a lot of activity behind us at that time too. We have a lot of activity in our office, our R&D office as well, but even more in the factory, I think.
And I think that our audience, which is obviously very tech savvy, is getting a sense of what you do. But maybe I'll ask you this question. It's kind of a basic one. Why does Ottawa need Syntronic? Explain to why you're here. We get when you arrived, but why are you here?
Yeah, so we're actually, now that we've been here for 8.5 years, we're a pretty important part of the local ecosystem. It's not like all of our work gets exported into the US or Europe or other countries. More than 50% of the work that we do is for Canadian-based, the operations of Canadian-based companies. So we're hiring a lot of people here locally, many of whom are new to Ottawa and even Canada. We provide our local customers with on-site consultants, as well as turnkey product development. We are working with almost all medium to large high-tech companies in Ottawa, and we have a really strong reputation in Canada and Ottawa and North America now. We hire our employees as full-time permanent, which allows us to attract kind of the best talent and retain and engage in our employees for a long time, and provide that continuity for our customers.
And Darrell, I fully appreciate that you keep your client list somewhat confidential, and we respect that. But give us a sense of the type of jobs you would take on for like some Kanata-based companies. So not the companies, but tell us about the type of work you're doing with them. Anything you can share on that front?
So the work that we do on the R&D side tends to be kind of in two types of projects. So one could be a software development project, which can be anything from board support packages, drivers, kernel development. It can be application software up to mobile apps, enterprise software, cloud, you name it, and on the software side. And we're doing that in Ottawa as well as globally. On the hardware side, it's board level electronics. So it can be power and battery. It can be wireless communications antennas. We have our own anechoic chamber. It's quite fascinating as well, but it's not behind me. So to do wireless products, we do thermal analysis, we do FPGA design, we do, you name it on the hardware side, and there's almost nothing that we can't do.
That's really neat.
Our specialty is probably communication systems.
Okay. Well, listen, I want to dig into the growth story, and there's a really good growth story for us to share with everyone here. But before we do that, I want to pause our interview, Darrell, for a second and recognize the sponsor of this episode. Very appropriately, somewhat serendipitously, is U of O Engineering. Here's their video.
One of the major sources of talent for the region's tech sector is the University of Ottawa's Faculty of Engineering, which is one of the supporters of Techopia Live. The faculty is home to more than 6,000 students and offers a co-op program that's consistently ranked as one of the best in Canada. Supported by a staff of professionals helping with the onboarding process, these undergrad and graduate students are frequently hired by local tech firms as co-op students, invited back for subsequent work terms, and then hired on as full-time employees after graduation. If your company is growing, you'd be remiss not to consider the talent that's emerging from the University of Ottawa's Faculty of Engineering. You can learn more at engineering.uottawa.ca.
And we're back speaking to Darrell Wellington of Syntronic. Darrell, I remember in your intro, you said you were brought here on a co-op. And so I bet you take some U of O engineering co-op students, would you not?
For sure.
Okay. Is that a big source of labor and engineering talent for you guys at Syntronic?
Yeah, I think it is for all of the companies in the area. It's the easiest access to the quality talent is hiring when you're looking for new grads to ramp up your engineering team. Hiring them local is easy. They already know Ottawa. They love Ottawa. They want to stay in Ottawa. And there's enough jobs here for many of them to stay here.
I love it. Well, I couldn't agree more that whether it's engineering or business or other faculties, the post-secondaries are so critical to our local economy here. As promised, Darrell, I want to talk about the growth story. So as we just heard from you, Syntronic arrived in Canada, in Ottawa, about a decade ago. And you would think maybe that you've had some slow growth and maybe you've hired a dozen employees there, No, you've had really, to some degree, explosive growth. Tell us about the numbers a bit, Darrell.
Sure. Yeah. So, when we started in 2014, we had kind of an aggressive growth target. In 5 years, we'll get to 125 employees. We surpassed that probably in our first 3 years even. So it's funny. I'd say the recipe for success isn't that tough. It does take effort and I would say discipline. It really relies on our ability to attract and engage the best employees. We keep them excited by giving them good projects to work on. When people enjoy the work and the people that they work with, it makes it possible, not always easy, but to deliver on our promises to our customers. When we are known to provide quality service, it creates additional opportunities to hire more employees and bring on other customers and increases our reputation. So it's a very much a cyclical thing. So that's why it's so important to hire the right people. I always tell our employees that it's almost more important to focus on how we deliver our programs than what we deliver. If our customers enjoy working with us, then they'll want to work with us again. I think for me, what really drives me and motivates me is the people that I work with. They're friendly, they're helpful, and they're collaborative. So it makes it a fun place to work and kind of a easy job.
Isn't that interesting in such a technically sophisticated business that you're really bringing it down to great people, right? You need good people who are going to be there working in a positive way with your customers. That's really neat. And if I understand, Darrell, that you've grown to about 550 or so in Canada, Canadian employees, but you guys are looking to keep on taking this up, possibly to 800 employees.
Yeah, that's right. So here in Canada, we've grown quite a bit. If you include so we now have the production services, which you see behind me, and so that's kind of taken us over the 500 mark. On the R&D side, it's somewhere between 450 and 500. What we're looking to do is continue to grow, to continue to hire good people, and that's how we're going to be successful. Did I answer the question properly?
I think you answered it perfectly. So listen, you intrigued me in the preparation for today's interview. You said something to me. You said Syntronic is one of Invest Ottawa's best foreign investment references, and I was like, whoa, that sounds interesting. Tell me what you mean by that. So how are you working kind of with Invest Ottawa to grow foreign direct investment?
Sure. So it all started back in 2013 or 2014 when Syntronic was looking to come to North America, and they were exploring the different locations of where to set up. They got in touch with Invest Ottawa, actually through one of our customers in the region. They're like, you should talk to Invest Ottawa to help you get established, give you all the information you need, connect you with the suppliers to do the real estate, connect you with the suppliers to incorporate the company, and really provided. We had our president from Syntronic in Sweden come to Canada for the first 3 years of our operations, and they really provided him and his family the white glove treatment to have a good landing in Canada. So if he and his family can be successful, it's going to make it that much easier for the company to be successful in Canada. So yeah, I think they measured that initial investment as a direct foreign investment, which would probably be measured in dollars, and then but over time, I think that's created a whole bunch of jobs, a whole bunch of tax revenue for the government, and I think it ticks a lot of their metrics. So even today, we work we work with Invest Ottawa as a reference. So they bring us into discussions with other companies looking to land in Ottawa, and to help them to do that. So being a good reference is it's good for us too.
Very neat. And of course, the technical talent, the design talent, manufacturing talent that you've added to Ottawa only strengthens, the breadth of capabilities within our city. We're reaching our end point here, Darrell, but I wanted to ask you one last question. As you might know, our lead sponsor of Techopia is EY, and their slogan is building a better working world. And that's a very noble, if you think about it, concept. I wanted to ask you in the broadest of ways, how are you or your colleagues at Syntronic building a better working world?
Sure. I think there's a lot of different ways that we're tackling that, but probably one that's pretty interesting and topical is, especially because we're a Swedish company, is the focusing on the environment. So we, as a company, we want to reduce our impact on the environment. So that there's a lot of internal initiatives around that, including measuring, and our goal is to reduce our impact. But you can imagine, as you're growing the company, it's very difficult to actually reduce your impact on the environment. But I think it matches really well with the Swedish values and the Canadian values, and something that we drive globally through all of our companies.
It sounds, as I said, a very noble pursuit. So, thanks for what you're doing for the environment. Darrell, we've run out of time, unfortunately. I wish we had lots more time to continue chatting with you, but I'm going to thank you for being here today. Thank you for what Syntronic is doing to help Techopia and send out information and share information. So thanks again, Darrell. We appreciate you being here and wish you all the best in the coming new year.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks very much to Darrell Wellington for joining us. Let's recognize some of the other sponsors who support Techopia. Techopia is brought to you by many great sponsors, such as EY, building a better working world. Number Crunch, offering virtual CFO services for SaaS companies. Pearlie Robertson Hill and McDougall, a leader in business and technology sector law. TD Bank, specialized programs for technology companies. The University of Ottawa Faculty of Engineering, creating the next generation of technical talent. Calian, innovative solutions delivered with integrity. Techopia is not only a podcast. We post new articles daily at obj.ca/Techopia. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe and click the bell icon. A big thank you once again to Darrell Wellington of Syntronic. It's so rare that we get to actually see technology happening with our own eyes. You know, often it's coding in the background and that type of thing. So special treat for us at Techopia to get some good video, as they say. So thank you for watching and or listening to today's episode. We hope Techopia is helping keep you connected and informed. Let's keep building Ottawa's technology utopia. That's Techopia. See you soon. Bye-bye.